welcome to Gray's Koi.
Here we are at the setting out stage for the block work, and what we've done is we've used the fence line for our straight edge, and we're going to come off the fence line to get the edge, the outer edge of the block work. And what we've done is we've taken a measurement from the fence of 40mm, transferred that down to the block work, left and right and in the middle, and put a string line on. Then from there we can work out the exact perpendicular of the wall and the squareness of the blocks. So in detail, this is how we've done it. We've measured off the fence line 400mm, and we've transferred the squareness perpendicular right down to the bottom of the concrete pad, which is where we've set out our first block and the string line, and we've done that on the other end to correspond. So we've got an old wall here, and what we've done is we've made sure that we're clear this wall as we come up with the block work, and we've just set out the square there to set out the other side, and we've done exactly the same on the other side. And what we'll do is, as we come up on each block work, we'll backfill with concrete. This viscreen sheet will be removed. We don't want this all the way up. This is more so just to protect the concrete pad, as said in an earlier video. So as we come up, we'll backfill with concrete. But it's most important at this stage to get this set out perfectly in line. Then once this back wall is set out perpendicular with the fence line, nice and square, then from there we can get with squareness for the rest of the blocks, which will be in another video. So here we've set out the first course, which is perfectly in line with the back fence. From here we can then set out with two end courses using the 90 to make sure we're perfectly coming off the wall true. Then from there we can set out with two 90s, the far ends, and then get the front wall in place. Check out with two corner measurements to make sure that we're perfect. But because we've come off this back wall, which is true, and all the measurements from here were 90 degrees from here, we should be perfect. So here you can see we've got a perfect 90 degrees on this right side of the pond, and we'll do exactly the same on the far left side of the pond. So then from here we'll transfer the 90 over to this side, set out our first block work, put our string line on, and do the same on the corresponding side end. Then from there we'll know we're perfectly square, take our measurements from the corners, and we should be spot on. So now you can see we've laid 7 courses up to the current ground level, but we've stopped at this stage, and what we've done is we've backfilled behind the blocks where we've excavated out, and we've done this on a few stages, and it's quite important to do this. And what we've done is after the first 3 courses, we've done quite a sloppy concrete mix, and we've poured down the back of the walls to reinforce the back of the walls. So it's quite important to do that, and then it locks the blocks in. You can't really put your spoil back in, like your soil or your clay back in here, because one, it's just too damp. It doesn't really reinforce the back of the walls, so it's quite important to do this. And as you come up a few courses, again, you backfill all the way around your perimeter with a sloppy concrete mix, and as you're coming up towards your current ground level, you can maybe go with a drier mix of just gravel for drainage, etc. But it's quite important to lock in the bottom of these concrete, the first couple of courses, quite important. And as I say, you can't use clay or soil, it has to be concrete. And what we've done here is we've come up to the current ground level, and the reason why we've done this and stopped as well is because the existing level of the land here actually slopes down, and what we've done is on the perimeter fence line, you see is a lot higher than this course, which is 7 courses. And what we're going to do is we're going to raise the level of the ground to about 1 inch below this fence line, and that's going to be the new ground level. Then we've got about another 7-8 courses to build to get to a final height.
If you've got any questions, please drop the comments below.
So here you can see where we've backfilled with a sloppy mix, and we've come so far up. What we'll probably do from this is we'll raise this area. We'll probably just use gravel or an MOT type 1, more so just for drainage, but a bit of strength as well. You can't really use clay or soil. I wouldn't recommend that to backfill because of the shrinkage, and when it rains, etc., it gets all wet and damp. So it's best to use gravel or an MOT type 1 as you come up from the ground. So as we explained earlier about setting out the block work for your first courses, and we've come off the fence line here, it is quite important as you come up each course to be level, because obviously water finds its level. So it's quite important that as you come up each course that you are perfectly level. And we're quite lucky here, the way we've designed this pond is the spirit level can span across both walls. So as I'm coming around and building each course, I can check the levels. So this is quite important. I do have a laser level and stuff, but most people don't have that type of equipment. So I've done it old school. In each course, as I've set out each corner, making sure that they're perfectly square. You can use the 3, 4, 5 method, but these aren't that dear, so it's worth your while getting one of these. So what I've done is I've always done this back wall, because I know this back wall is perfectly square off a fence line. I've set out the 2 corners, then from there I've transferred the levels. I've done it old school with just using the spirit level and setting out some blocks all the way along to get the levels. Then you string line across and away you go. And then you can come off nice and square and level for these 2 corners, and away you go. So it's quite important that you build each level nice and square and perfectly level. If you're building a house, etc., you would probably just set out both your corners and just put your string line on, and away you go with your maybe your staff measurements. But I like to build ponds course by course, and then you're perfectly level. It's quite important to get that perfectly level for each course, because you can go off, and making sure that each corner is perfectly square. And it's worth your while just checking each course as you go along, especially if you're doing it yourself. And it's not hard laying blocks. I think most people can achieve this with a little bit of research. So it's quite important though to make sure that everything is level and everything is square as you come up. So now that we've come up to the current ground level and everything's been backfilled and everything's safe, nothing's going to cave in, we're at the stage now where we're going to build a foundation all the way around, perimeter foundation all the way around the structure, because we're going to build a fish house structure over the top of the 2 ponds. So the 2 ponds will be inside, and we've had to stop building the walls because if we built the walls up to the height that we want to, it's going to be quite hard to work behind here. So we're going to do a concrete foundation all the way around, then concrete blocks, probably 2 courses up to the new ground level, then the wall plate will go on the blocks ready for the structure to be built and placed on, and that'll be in another video. So the reason why we decided to stop building the walls and build the structure now, the fish house now, is because the weather's closing in on us a little bit. It's now end of September, so it means if we can get the fish house built, we'll be inside and we'll be watertight for the rain and the weather, so it means we can carry on building the walls, rendering and fiberglassing, which will be on later segments. So it means we'll be fully enclosed, watertight and nice and warm, and that'll all be on the next segments.
If you've got any questions, please drop a comment below. Thank you.